This is Dee Reinhardt with Illinois WorkNet, and today we are going to have a little bit of a demonstration with a couple of things that I would like for you guys to use. I am recording this and I will post this to the partner page. And after I'm done with this, then we can go off the recording and ask some questions that you might need. So the first thing that I want to show everyone is that the program managers have a little bit different rights than the regular partners that use the system. And if you are logged into Illinois WorkNet and you have program manager rights, you should be able to see this folder that has provider information in it. A couple of things that we need for you to do as a provider is to add appointments to your location so that if DHS wants to send someone to you, they can do that. So under the provider information, the first tab is the appointments, and you would select your project. You would select your program. I'm going to do SnapJP. You would select your provider. I'm going to do Asian Human Services, and then I can filter to see what appointment sites we have. If you don't have any, then you can add an appointment site here. That will allow you to name it however you want it to be named, and you can enter notes for what you want people to bring with them to your site. So for example, if you're still masking at your facility, you can ask them to bring and wear a mask. Once you have the site entered, you can edit the site information here, which is basically the same information, you're just making an edit. And then you can edit the schedule. So the schedule is dates that you would have added, and you can add an appointment. I suggest that you have appointments, and we used to recommend 2 months out. It's relatively easy. So once you add an appointment, you can pick a date from the calendar. Oh, goodness. We'll try this again. Thank you for pointing that out to me. All right, the first spot in the provider information is the appointments, and we're going to return to the schedule. You pick a project, you pick your program, you pick your provider. You can filter to see your locations. You can add your appointment site, so you can name it and put the details in. If you need to edit the site, you can edit it here, and then you can edit the schedule. So editing the schedule is easy. As I said, you can add an appointment. If you pick a date from the calendar, you can click on the day and click on the time. It will automatically schedule an hour appointment, and you can select how many openings you have for that appointment. So maybe you want to only take 5 people, or maybe you want to change your appointment time to a 2-hour slot. And then you can add the appointment, and then just keep adding them by going to the calendar and say that it's every Tuesday at 3:15 p.m. You add the appointment, and it will just keep adding them until you get to your 2 months worth of appointments. So it's relatively simple to do that. You just kind of got to keep track of where you are on the calendar and where you added them before. So I've got a month of appointments out there. So that's the first thing that we need to do. And this is program managers should have the ability to do this. The next thing that we need to do is under the ISETS programs, you can select a program and filter. And in here for your program, everybody had the supervised job search added as a single step for the program on production. What you will do is come into your program in your list, the program managers, click the edit button and pick your location. Now, if you don't see a location option here, you have to take it back a step, and we'll show you that in just a moment. But you will check the radio buttons that are applicable for one or the other or both of these. And then you will check all of the activities that are associated with your program. So if it's supervised job search and you're offering them work experience, you'll check all those boxes. If you have a program description for your specific program, you will enter that information in here. And then you can add a target occupation. So maybe you're doing a CNA program, or maybe you're doing an IT program. You can add a target occupation by looking up the SOC code, and I'm going to type IT and see if I can find. Oh, you know what? I'm going to type information. Search, computer and information systems manager, whatever it is down here that's applicable, you can enter that and select the SOC code, and then you want to look up a SIP code. And we're going to do information and search and computer and information science. Let's say information technology right here. Save that. It will put that information in here. Then you want to save and go to the next page. And on here, it asks you some items about baseline requirements because we have a training program in there. What are the goals of the program? What are the minimum requirements to enter the program? And using a computer, what's their comfort level? And then this is where the matches happen. This is where the magic match happens. We have some recommended criteria that will show you those matches. That's where you get the 20 or 75% match on your program. So you want to mark everything that's applicable. Interests, recommended participants may be interested in the following skills. What are their existing skills? And then you finish. So if you are not finding any matches for your programs, or if your matches are at 0 or 25%, it's because the distance might be off. Maybe you don't have enough things into your program. Maybe you haven't selected the interests appropriately. So go in, the program manager can go in and make these adaptations. Now for the ISETS provider details, remember I mentioned about selecting your location. What you'll want to do is select your program, select the provider. So it's Asian Human Services for my demonstration. I'm going to select, and it's going to filter through. And this does take a hot minute here. And what we want to look at here is we want to see our contracts that are associated with our program. Audits happen annually, I believe. And then our locations. This is where our locations come from. And this is linked to the service finder on Illinois workNet. So if your location is wrong, or if you're looking at the locations that are available and there you don't see a location, then we need to talk about updating your information in Service Finder. So then we can add a new location if we need to. It will take us to the Service Finder. And I'm not sure that this will do it since I was in test. Oh, it does. Okay. So then we can look up our location. make sure that that information is available. And if you do not have access rights to the locations, please let me know and I will update that information in our system so that you get the semi-annual notification to update and verify your location information. So if your location is here, then you would add your location. You can search by 50 locations at a time to make sure that you're getting as big a list as possible. So let's talk about locations, appointments, and editing programs. Are there any questions about any of those items? And these would apply to people like Donna Claxton and Loris Cannon. Those are a couple of the names that I can think of who are listed as program managers. And if you don't know if you have a program manager for your program, we need to talk as well so that we can get a program manager assigned for your provider agency. Mary.
You hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, I had a question, and I don't know if this is where I need to ask, but after I went through one of the trainings, I work at a township office and we do earn fair. And I was going through one after listening to your training one day last week. I tried to get into ISETS and just like search a customer. My county is wrong. It's they've got the wrong, when I go into it, it's got McLean County. How do you go in and change something like that?
We can fix that, Mary, but can we do that after we stop recording?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Now, so back to my question. Are there any questions about appointments, provider details, or ISETS programs?
Hi, Dee. This is Donna. I have a question. So
Yes,
I do have access to I entered information into the ISETS provider details. Do I have to re-enter it into ISETS ENT programs, or does it carry over?
the locations should carry into the programs if you added the locations here.
Mm-hmm.
The grant information for the contract carries into the programs, but are you talking about the programs down here?
Yes.
The programs, these programs, hang on. Let's see where it takes us.
Okay.
This is the same spot. So see, it takes us to this tab right here, the ISETS ENT programs. So it does take you to the same spot, so it should be good.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. And
You're
I
welcome.
see Vincent had a question too in the chat. Do we have to have an appointment time for the Fcrc to make a referral? We meet with SNAP customers on an individual basis at variable locations.
So they don't come to your offices.
I think that's what he means. And I mean, I had a question too with one of our providers too, that they set up an individual appointments for people to come in.
You can set up these appointments any way you want to. So if you want to do a one-on-one appointment, you could pick your program, pick your provider and your project, and you could add an individual appointment for one-on-one. It's going to be a lot of appointments if you're doing it day by day. And if you've got 6 appointments per day kind of thing. If you've got three partners meeting with people all at the same time, you could do the number of openings as 3. I don't know if that answered your question, Donna.
It was Vincent's question, but he
Oh,
just
sorry.
said, that's okay.
And okay, so Vincent, I don't know if that answered your question. I don't know how you would schedule them if you're going to other locations, but you could always set up the various locations that you go to and say, I've got 5 appointments this day at this location.
And guess kind of tracking this, Mary, could you also set up to say if you had an appointment, say like every Wednesday, so that the FCR, if they were going to send someone, say if you had appointments Wednesdays from 9:30 to 12, I mean, could you put that in as well? And then they could send people
To
based off of
like
that?
a DHS office?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
What I would do is I would label the location as, I keep having to select this. I would label the location as, AHS at Roseland.
Got it. Okay.
That's what I would label it that way, just so that you're making it clear about where you're going to be.
Got it. Okay.
And then if you need to put on a street address or something, you could do that.
Okay.
Oh, and last week we had a question about the initial assessment being completed by DHS, and the answer was yes, that DHS, if they are making a referral to you, will be completing the initial assessment. Right now, with us trying to get everybody in, that might not be happening, but moving forward, as we actually work in the system, that is the intent. All right, are there any other questions about this? If not, then I can turn off the recording and we can go to those items that we need to do off recording.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so if I'm setting up appointments for orientation, we have 2 on the same day, which is virtual and in person. So would I have to set up labels for that, like you were talking about?
Yeah, you'd need to set up an appointment site. You would need to do a virtual site and then a physical site.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else about these items? All right, I'm going to end the recording. Thank you for watching.